Deep space exploration was supposed to be humanity's greatest achievement until they found it. A weapon so advanced, it could alter reality itself. Five brave explorers ventured where no human had gone before, only to uncover a secret that should have remained buried. What they discovered would change everything we know about war, technology, and survival. But at what cost? This is their story, a tale of discovery, danger, and desperation on a distant alien world. Prepare yourself for an unprecedented journey into the unknown. Subscribe now to witness the full mission logs before it's too late. The descent through the crimson atmosphere of PX 729 felt like passing through layers of liquid fire. The research vessel's hull groaned under the pressure as brilliant streaks of plasma danced across its reinforced surface. Below stretched an endless expanse of crystalline formations, their geometric perfection defying natural explanation. The mission parameters had been clear: investigate unusual energy readings emanating from this uncharted planet. Nothing in their extensive training could have prepared them for what lay ahead. As the ship touched down on the glass-like surface, the crew performed final system checks with practiced precision. Through the viewport, the landscape appeared both beautiful and menacing, shimmering with an otherworldly light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with some unseen heartbeat. The planet's surface was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. Each step across the crystalline plane produced musical tones, as if the ground itself responded to their presence. The air carried a faint metallic tang, and the sky above was painted in hues of deep red and violet, casting long shadows across the alien terrain. Their instruments detected strange harmonics in the atmosphere, suggesting the presence of unknown particles or energy fields. The team moved cautiously, their boots crunching against the brittle surface, which seemed to fracture and reform beneath their weight. Every movement triggered subtle changes in the environment. Crystalline spires shifted position, and the ground emitted low-frequency vibrations that resonated through their suits. As they ventured further from the landing site, the readings became more erratic. The scanners picked up anomalies that defied conventional physics, areas where gravity fluctuated wildly, creating pockets of weightlessness or crushing pressure. The temperature oscillated between extremes, sometimes freezing their breath inside their helmets, and other times heating the air to unbearable levels. Yet, despite these challenges, the crew pressed on, driven by the promise of discovery. The mission logs recorded every detail, from the strange luminescence of the crystals to the eerie silence that enveloped the planet, broken only by the hum of their equipment and the occasional crackle of static in their comms. Their first day on the surface ended with a makeshift camp established near a cluster of towering crystalline structures. The team gathered around a portable holographic display, reviewing the data they had collected. The readings were perplexing. Energy signatures that pulsed with a rhythm resembling a heartbeat, gravitational distortions that suggested the presence of something massive beneath the surface, and electromagnetic fields that interfered with their instruments. Despite the growing unease, the crew remained focused, their scientific curiosity outweighing their apprehension. Little did they know, their journey was just beginning. The next morning brought new challenges as the team resumed their exploration. About half a kilometer from the landing site, their scanners detected anomalous readings stronger than anything previously recorded. The source materialized gradually through the haze, a structure unlike anything in human experience. Its architecture defied conventional physics, appearing simultaneously solid and fluid, shifting between dimensions with each passing moment. At its center rested an object pulsing with dangerous energy, radiating waves that made their instruments malfunction and their skin tingle with static electricity. The structure loomed over them, its surfaces shimmering with iridescent colors that seemed to shift depending on the angle of observation. The team approached cautiously, their footsteps muffled by the strange properties of the ground. The air around the structure felt heavier, charged with an energy that made their hair stand on end. Their scanners struggled to make sense of the readings. The object at the center emitted frequencies that overlapped and canceled each other out, creating chaotic patterns that defied analysis. The team set up remote sensors and began documenting every detail, aware that they were witnessing something unprecedented. Hours passed as they studied the structure, noting how it seemed to respond to their presence. The surface rippled like liquid metal, forming intricate patterns that resembled ancient symbols. These patterns shifted constantly, sometimes aligning to form recognizable shapes, spirals, fractals, and geometric designs that hinted at a deeper intelligence behind their creation. The central object pulsed with a steady rhythm, its light growing brighter and dimmer in a cycle that seemed almost organic. The team recorded everything, their excitement tempered by a growing sense of unease. Something about the structure felt alive, as if it were watching them as much as they were studying it. Despite their precautions, the team couldn't help but feel drawn to the object. Its energy field extended outward, enveloping them in a cocoon of warmth and static. Their instruments registered strange fluctuations in brain activity, as if the object were influencing their thoughts. Some team members reported vivid dreams during their rest periods, filled with images of alien landscapes and incomprehensible symbols. Others experienced moments of déjà vu, as if they had encountered the object before in some distant past. These phenomena only deepened the mystery, fueling their determination to uncover the truth. Closer examination revealed the object to be approximately 3 meters tall, shaped like an inverted teardrop but constantly changing its surface texture. Patterns flowed across its exterior like liquid mercury, forming intricate designs that seemed to follow mathematical sequences beyond human comprehension. The air around it crackled with energy, distorting light and creating mirage-like effects. Their instruments recorded impossible readings, temperature fluctuations that violated thermodynamic laws, gravitational anomalies that bent space around the artifact, and electromagnetic fields that oscillated at frequencies never before encountered. Most disturbing were the biological responses. Heart rates accelerated without cause, neural activity showed patterns resembling REM sleep while fully awake, and everyone experienced vivid flashes of images that couldn't possibly be memories. The artifact's influence extended far beyond its immediate vicinity. The surrounding crystalline structures began to grow rapidly, encroaching on their base camp. Equipment failures became more frequent, and strange occurrences plagued their operations, tools moving when untouched, shadowy figures appearing in peripheral vision, and increasingly realistic hallucinations affecting all team members. Sleep patterns deteriorated as nightmares of unprecedented intensity invaded their rest. The artifact's energy output fluctuated erratically, sometimes causing localized time dilation effects where seconds stretched into minutes. These phenomena escalated gradually, testing their resolve and scientific curiosity against growing unease about the true nature of their discovery. The team's initial fascination gave way to a creeping sense of dread. They began to notice subtle changes in themselves, heightened senses, increased reflexes, and an uncanny ability to anticipate events before they happened. Some team members reported hearing whispers in their minds, voices speaking in languages they couldn't understand yet somehow comprehended. Others experienced vivid visions of alien worlds and civilizations, as if the artifact were downloading fragments of its creator's history directly into their consciousness. These experiences were both exhilarating and terrifying, blurring the line between reality and imagination. Despite the growing dangers, the team pressed on, driven by a mix of scientific curiosity and a desire to understand the artifact's purpose. They hypothesized that it might be a form of communication, a repository of knowledge, or perhaps even a weapon. Each possibility raised more questions than answers, fueling their determination to unravel the mystery. The artifact's behavior became increasingly erratic, responding to their presence with bursts of energy that disrupted their equipment and caused temporary lapses in consciousness. Yet, through it all, they remained committed to their mission, knowing that the secrets they uncovered could reshape humanity's understanding of the universe. The team established a perimeter around the artifact, setting up remote sensors and data collection equipment. Hours turned into days as they attempted to understand the nature of their discovery. Energy readings suggested it contained power source millions of times more efficient than anything humanity had developed. The artifact's surface occasionally rippled, revealing glimpses of internal mechanisms that seemed to operate on principles of quantum mechanics yet to be discovered. Attempts to touch or interact directly resulted in immediate repulsion fields activating, accompanied by painful sensations described variously as electric shocks and intense cold burns. Despite these defenses, the artifact seemed to respond to their presence, altering its patterns in ways that suggested awareness and perhaps even communication attempts. Their initial analysis revealed that the artifact was not a single object, but a complex system of interconnected components. The central core housed the primary energy source, while smaller nodes distributed power throughout the structure. These nodes pulsed with light in a sequence that resembled binary code, though the patterns were far more intricate than any known digital language. The team speculated that the artifact might be using a form of multidimensional encoding, storing information across multiple planes of existence. This theory was supported by the way the artifact seemed to shift between dimensions, appearing solid one moment and translucent the next. The artifact's energy field extended far beyond its physical boundaries, creating a zone of influence that affected everything within a kilometer radius. Plants grew at an accelerated rate, crystalline formations sprouted from the ground, and even the air seemed to vibrate with latent energy. The team's instruments recorded bizarre phenomena, time dilation effects that caused their watches to run faster or slower depending on proximity to the artifact, gravitational anomalies that made objects float or crash to the ground unpredictably, and electromagnetic disturbances that interfered with their communications. These effects made it difficult to maintain accurate records, forcing the team to rely on manual observations and handwritten notes. Despite the challenges, the team made significant progress in understanding the artifact's basic functions. They identified several key mechanisms: a containment field that prevented direct interaction, a feedback loop that stabilized its energy output, and a series of sensors that monitored environmental conditions. These discoveries raised more questions than answers, leading the team to speculate about the artifact's original purpose. Was it designed as a weapon, a tool, or something entirely different? The lack of definitive evidence only deepened the mystery, driving the team to push further into the unknown. Subtle changes began manifesting in the environment surrounding the artifact. The crystalline structures started growing rapidly, encroaching on their base camp. Equipment failures became more frequent, and strange occurrences plagued their operations. Tools moving when untouched, shadowy figures appearing in peripheral vision, and increasingly realistic hallucinations affecting all team members. Sleep patterns deteriorated as nightmares of unprecedented intensity invaded their rest. The artifact's energy output fluctuated erratically, sometimes causing localized time dilation effects where seconds stretched into minutes. These phenomena escalated gradually, testing their resolve and scientific curiosity against growing unease about the true nature of their discovery. The team began to notice physical changes in themselves as well. Their reflexes became unnaturally sharp, and their senses heightened to an almost superhuman degree. Some team members reported seeing things that weren't there: ghostly figures moving through the crystalline forest, strange symbols etched into the air, and fleeting glimpses of alien landscapes. Others experienced vivid dreams that felt more like memories, filled with images of a long-lost civilization and their interactions with the artifact. These dreams were so lifelike that it was difficult to distinguish them from reality upon waking. The artifact's influence extended beyond the physical realm, affecting their mental and emotional states as well. Team members reported feelings of euphoria followed by sudden bouts of paranoia, as if the artifact were manipulating their emotions to keep them off balance. Some began to question their own sanity, wondering if the changes they were experiencing were real or merely products of their overactive imaginations. Others became obsessed with the artifact, spending hours staring at its pulsing surface and attempting to decipher its patterns. This growing fixation worried the mission commander, who feared that the team was losing focus on their primary objective. Despite these warning signs, the team pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. They expanded their research efforts, conducting experiments to test the artifact's limits and document its effects. They discovered that the artifact responded to certain stimuli, specific frequencies of sound, particular wavelengths of light, and even certain thought patterns. These findings suggested that the artifact was not merely a passive object, but an active entity capable of interacting with its environment. The implications of this discovery were both thrilling and terrifying, raising questions about the nature of consciousness and the boundaries between life and machine. Further analysis revealed ancient inscriptions etched into the surrounding structures, written in a language that defied traditional linguistic patterns but bore uncanny similarities to mathematical constants. The symbols pulsed with meaning that resonated directly with their consciousness, bypassing conventional understanding. They pieced together fragments suggesting the artifact wasn't merely a weapon but something far more sophisticated, a device capable of manipulating fundamental forces of the universe. Evidence pointed to a long-extinct civilization that had created it as a last resort, warning future discoverers through encoded messages spanning multiple dimensions. The inscriptions told the story of a civilization that had reached the pinnacle of technological advancement, only to face extinction due to their own creations. The artifact was their final legacy, designed to prevent others from making the same mistakes. It contained the sum total of their knowledge, encoded in a form that could only be accessed by those deemed worthy. The team realized that their presence had triggered a sequence of events that would either unlock the artifact's secrets or seal their fate. The inscriptions warned of the dangers inherent in pursuing such knowledge, emphasizing the responsibility that came with wielding such power. As they delved deeper into the artifact's mysteries, the team began to experience profound changes in their perception of reality. Time seemed to stretch and compress, allowing them to process information at an accelerated rate. Space became fluid, enabling them to perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously. These abilities came at a cost, however, as their connection to the artifact grew stronger, their grip on their own identities began to weaken. Memories blurred, emotions intensified, and the boundaries between self and other dissolved. The artifact seemed to be rewriting their very essence, transforming them into something beyond human. The team's scientific curiosity was matched only by their growing fear of what they might become. They debated whether to continue their research or abandon the mission altogether, knowing that each step forward brought them closer to an irreversible transformation. The mission commander urged caution, reminding the team of their duty to humanity and the potential consequences of unleashing such power. Yet, the allure of the artifact's secrets proved irresistible, drawing them inexorably toward a fate they could neither predict nor control. During routine scans, one researcher inadvertently triggered an activation sequence. The artifact transformed dramatically, unfolding additional components and extending tendrils of pure energy into the surrounding space. Ancient mechanisms whirred to life, generating harmonics that resonated through every molecule of their bodies. The entire structure began emitting coherent waves of force that altered local gravity, creating miniature black holes that flickered in and out of existence. Their suit's protection systems struggled to maintain integrity against the increasing radiation levels. Data streams poured into their computers faster than they could process, containing information about universal constants, dimensional boundaries, and the very fabric of space-time itself encoded in mathematical poetry. The activation sequence unleashed a cascade of effects that overwhelmed the team's instruments. The artifact's energy field expanded exponentially, engulfing the surrounding area in a dome of shimmering light. Within this dome, the laws of physics seemed to break down. Objects floated freely, time flowed backward and forward simultaneously, and matter shifted between states with alarming speed. The team scrambled to contain the situation, deploying emergency protocols and reinforcing their protective barriers. Despite their efforts, the artifact's influence continued to spread, threatening to consume everything in its path. The activation also triggered a series of visions that assaulted the team's minds with overwhelming intensity. They witnessed scenes from the artifact's past, its creation by a race of beings who had mastered the manipulation of reality itself, their descent into hubris and destruction, and their final desperate attempt to safeguard their knowledge. These visions were accompanied by a flood of information that rewired their neural pathways, granting them access to concepts and ideas far beyond human comprehension. The team found themselves able to perceive the underlying structure of the universe, understanding the interconnectedness of all things in a way that transcended language and thought. This newfound awareness came at a terrible price. The team's bodies began to break down under the strain of processing such immense amounts of data. Their cells destabilized, their organs failed, and their minds teetered on the brink of collapse. Yet, even as their physical forms deteriorated, their consciousness expanded, merging with the artifact's vast intelligence. They became conduits for its power, vessels through which it could exert its influence on the world around them. The line between creator and creation blurred, leaving the team caught in a liminal state between existence and oblivion. With increased understanding came devastating consequences. The artifact's influence spread beyond their immediate vicinity, affecting the planet's ecosystem in unpredictable ways. Weather patterns shifted violently, creating electrical storms that lasted for days. Their dreams became increasingly lucid and shared, revealing visions of the civilization that had created the weapon. These weren't mere projections, but actual experiences downloaded directly into their minds, showing the catastrophic results of previous activations. The psychological toll mounted as they witnessed countless worlds destroyed, civilizations wiped out, and entire star systems unraveled. Each member of the team began exhibiting signs of mental strain, their thoughts bleeding into each other's consciousness through the artifact's influence. The knowledge they gained was both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, they understood the universe in ways that no human had ever dreamed possible. They could manipulate matter and energy with their thoughts, bend the fabric of reality to their will, and perceive the interconnectedness of all things. On the other hand, this knowledge came at the cost of their humanity. Their memories fragmented, their identities dissolved, and their emotions became unstable. They found themselves unable to distinguish between their own desires and the artifact's intentions, caught in a web of influence they could neither escape nor control. The team's relationships with one another began to fray under the strain. Trust eroded as each member became increasingly isolated within their own subjective reality. Conversations devolved into arguments, cooperation gave way to conflict, and unity fractured into chaos. The mission commanders struggled to maintain order, but even they were not immune to the artifact's effects. Their leadership faltered as their judgment became clouded by the influx of alien knowledge and the constant barrage of sensory overload. The team's cohesion, once their greatest strength, became their greatest weakness as they succumbed to the artifact's insidious influence. Despite these challenges, the team refused to abandon their mission. They recognized that the knowledge they had gained carried a responsibility to use it wisely or risk repeating the mistakes of the artifact's creators. They worked tirelessly to document their findings, recording every detail in the hope that future generations might learn from their experiences. Yet, even as they labored to preserve their discoveries, they knew that the artifact's power was too great for any one species to wield. The question remained: how could they ensure that such knowledge was used for good rather than evil? Attempts to contain or deactivate the artifact proved futile. Every approach they tried only seemed to make it more active, its energy field expanding exponentially. Emergency protocols initiated automatic shutdown sequences on their equipment, but even powered-down devices continued to function, seemingly energized by proximity to the artifact. The situation escalated when the artifact began drawing power from their ship, threatening their only means of escape. Their communications with mission control became distorted, carrying fragments of the alien language mixed with increasingly desperate pleas for help. The crystalline growths surrounding their base accelerated, forming barriers that trapped them within a shrinking safe zone, while the artifact's influence grew stronger with each passing hour. The containment crisis forced the team to confront the harsh reality of their situation. They were no longer mere observers, but active participants in the artifact's awakening. Their every action, no matter how small, seemed to trigger a response that pushed the artifact closer to full activation. The energy field surrounding it pulsed with increasing intensity, creating zones of instability that made navigation nearly impossible. The team's movements became restricted to a narrow corridor of relative safety, hemmed in by walls of crystalline growth that closed in relentlessly. Their attempts to establish a stable perimeter met with failure after failure. The artifact's defenses adapted to their strategies, countering each new approach with escalating force. Barriers erected to contain its energy field crumbled under the strain, and containment protocols failed to hold against its relentless expansion. The team's frustration mounted as they watched their efforts prove ineffective, their resources dwindling with each passing day. Morale plummeted as the realization sank in that they might not survive to complete their mission. Yet, even in the face of mounting despair, the team refused to give up. They pooled their remaining resources, combining their expertise to devise new strategies and contingency plans. They worked around the clock, fueled by adrenaline and determination, knowing that every second counted. The artifact's influence continued to grow, but so too did their resolve. They were determined to find a way to contain it, no matter the cost. Through painstaking analysis and shared psychic experiences, they finally grasped the artifact's fundamental nature. It wasn't merely a weapon but a fail-safe mechanism designed to prevent galactic domination by any single species. When activated beyond certain thresholds, it would trigger chain reactions capable of rewriting physical laws across vast distances. The builders had intended it as a deterrent, believing that knowledge of its existence alone would prevent conflicts from escalating to interstellar warfare. However, they hadn't accounted for the addictive properties of the knowledge it imparted. The temptation to harness such power proved irresistible, leading to their own civilization's downfall. Now, humanity stood at the same crossroads, facing the choice between destruction or transcendence. The artifact's true purpose was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. It represented the ultimate expression of technological mastery, a tool capable of reshaping the universe according to the will of its wielder. Yet, it also embodied the dangers of unchecked ambition, serving as a stark reminder of the consequences of hubris. The team grappled with the moral implications of their discovery, torn between the desire to unlock its secrets and the responsibility to safeguard humanity from its potential misuse. Their debates grew heated as they wrestled with the ethical dilemmas posed by the artifact. Should they attempt to harness its power for the betterment of humanity, risking the same fate as its creators? Or should they destroy it, ensuring that its secrets remain buried forever? Each option carried its own risks and rewards, leaving the team divided and uncertain. The mission commander called for a vote, knowing that the decision would shape the course of human history. The outcome hung in the balance, a testament to the weight of their responsibility. Realizing the danger posed by continued exposure, they formulated a desperate plan to evacuate while preventing the artifact from following them. Special containment protocols were developed using the limited resources available, combining their ship-shielding technology with materials harvested from the crystalline structures. The artifact resisted their efforts, adapting its defensive measures to counter each new strategy. Time dilation effects became severe, making coordination increasingly difficult as moments stretched into hours. Their bodies began showing signs of cellular degeneration from prolonged exposure to exotic radiation, forcing them to work against both the artifact and their own failing physiology. The evacuation window narrowed as the artifact's power surged toward critical levels, threatening to activate automatically if left unchecked. The escape attempt was fraught with peril. The team worked in shifts, pushing themselves to the limits of endurance as they raced against time. Their equipment malfunctioned frequently, requiring constant repairs and improvisation. The artifact's energy field interfered with their ship's systems, causing power surges and system failures that threatened to strand them on the planet. The crystalline growths surrounding their base continued to expand, closing in on their position and forcing them to adapt their plans on the fly. Despite these challenges, the team remained focused on their goal. They coordinated their efforts with military precision, each member playing a crucial role in the operation. Some worked on reinforcing the containment field, while others prepared the ship for launch. The mission commander oversaw the entire operation, making split-second decisions that could mean the difference between success and failure. The tension was palpable, every moment fraught with uncertainty as they fought to secure their escape. One team member recognized that traditional methods would fail and made an irrevocable decision. Using modified neural interface equipment, they connected directly to the artifact's core systems, allowing its consciousness to merge with theirs. This act of self-sacrifice bought precious time for the others to complete their escape preparations. Through this connection, they gained complete understanding of the artifact's capabilities and limitations, using this knowledge to initiate a controlled shutdown sequence. The fusion of human and alien consciousness created a being of unprecedented power and awareness, existing simultaneously in multiple dimensions while maintaining enough of their original identity to protect their colleagues. The remaining team members watched in awe and horror as their comrade transformed into something beyond human comprehension. The sacrifice was both heroic and tragic. The team member who volunteered knew that their actions would likely result in their death, yet they chose to proceed anyway, driven by a sense of duty and love for their fellow crewmates. Their connection to the artifact allowed them to stabilize its energy field, preventing it from reaching critical mass and triggering a catastrophic chain reaction. The fusion of human and alien consciousness created a hybrid entity that transcended the limitations of both, possessing knowledge and power far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. The remaining team members struggled to come to terms with what they had witnessed. They felt a mixture of gratitude and guilt, knowing that their survival had come at the cost of their colleague's life. The hybrid entity communicated with them through a combination of telepathy and visual imagery, conveying messages of reassurance and guidance. It assured them that their sacrifice had not been in vain and that their mission had succeeded in containing the artifact's threat. Yet, even as they prepared to leave, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were leaving behind something far greater than themselves. With their colleague holding the artifact at bay, the rest of the team executed their escape plan. They deployed specially designed containment fields around the artifact, using modified versions of their ship's warp drive technology to create a localized stasis field. The crystalline structures reacted violently to this interference, launching aggressive countermeasures that threatened to overwhelm their defenses. Each member contributed their expertise to maintaining the containment protocol, working in perfect synchronization despite the chaos surrounding them. The hybrid being maintaining the artifact's suppression provided crucial support, channeling its newfound powers to stabilize the containment field while fighting against the artifact's attempts to break free. The situation balanced precariously on the edge of total disaster. The final stand was a battle against time and fate. The team worked with feverish intensity, their movements precise and deliberate as they fought to maintain the containment field. The artifact resisted their efforts, its energy field surging with increasing intensity. The crystalline growths surrounding their base launched wave after wave of attacks, attempting to breach their defenses and disrupt their operation. The hybrid entity fought valiantly, using its enhanced abilities to counter the artifact's influence and protect the team. Every second felt like an eternity as the team struggled to complete their task. Their bodies ached from exhaustion, their minds strained to the breaking point, yet they refused to give up. The mission commander coordinated their efforts, issuing orders with calm authority even as the situation grew increasingly dire. The team's unity and determination proved to be their greatest strength, enabling them to overcome obstacles that would have defeated lesser individuals. Together, they forged a path forward, driven by the knowledge that their actions would determine the fate of humanity. Against all odds, the containment held long enough for the remaining crew to reach their vessel. The ship's system struggled against the artifact's influence, but managed liftoff thanks to emergency overrides and manual flight controls. As they ascended through the planet's atmosphere, they witnessed the containment field collapsing, followed by a blinding flash of energy that temporarily blinded all sensors. The hybrid beings sacrificed themselves completely to ensure the artifact wouldn't pursue, channeling its remaining consciousness into a final burst of protective energy. Their ship barely cleared the planet's gravity well before the artifact's power reached critical mass, triggering a cascade effect that transformed the entire world into a crystalline sphere pulsing with contained energy, a tomb for the most dangerous weapon ever created. The departure was bittersweet. The team had succeeded in their mission, but at a tremendous cost. They left behind not only their fallen comrade, but also a piece of themselves, forever changed by their encounter with the artifact. As their ship entered orbit, they gazed back at the planet below, now transformed into a shimmering sphere of crystalline light. The sight filled them with a mixture of awe and sorrow, a reminder of the power and peril they had faced. Their journey home was marked by reflection and introspection. Each member processed their experiences in their own way, grappling with the knowledge they had gained and the sacrifices they had made. They knew that their discovery would have far-reaching implications for humanity, shaping the course of history in ways they could not yet fully comprehend. Yet, even as they looked forward to reuniting with their loved ones, they couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden among the stars, waiting to be uncovered. Mission Control received fragmented transmissions documenting their encounter, along with encrypted data packets containing everything they'd learned about the artifact. The surviving crew members returned changed forever, their minds permanently altered by their experiences. Medical examinations revealed neurological adaptations hinting at latent abilities awakened by their exposure. The crystalline planet became a forbidden zone, surrounded by automated monitoring stations to ensure the artifact remained contained. Humanity faced a new era of space exploration, tempered by the knowledge of what lurked among the stars. The sacrifice of their colleagues served as a reminder of both the dangers and responsibilities that came with venturing into the unknown. Remember to subscribe for more incredible stories from the depths of space, where every discovery could change everything we know about our universe.